Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another review on The Flash Season 3. So this is going to be for episode 10, otherwise entitled Borrowing Problems from the Future. So obviously, spoiler warning before we go ahead, I'm going to be talking about some major points within this episode. Now just quickly before we go ahead, if you entered the Instagram giveaway I started like a while ago, make sure to check your messages on Instagram to see if you were one of the two winners that were going to be picked. Now going into this episode, we knew that Barry as well as the rest of Team Flash were going to have to deal with the events of the future that Barry witnessed in the mid-season finale or episode 9 of this season. That obviously being Iris being skewered by Savitar as well as some other certain events that were seen on that TV news report. We also had some lighter moments coming our way with HR's project of the Star Labs Museum coming to fruition. Now if you do go on to enjoy my review on this episode of The Flash, it would be very much appreciated if you could leave a like on it. Now in regards to Barry's visit to the future, we saw those events happen again, and to be more specific, Iris's death in Barry's nightmare. Now Barry actually reveals it has been a month since the events of the mid-season finale, which generally happens, but sometimes we might get like a bridging, event of what happened in those, in that gap of the month. Unfortunately, we didn't get it this time, but I'm not really fazed by it. It was pretty sick to see the speedster team up of Kid Flash and The Flash as they put out that fire and save that new detective. And speaking of that new detective, he actually drops like a nice little Easter egg when he suggests shipping this new Kid Flash speedster off to Keystone City. And this was because we already have a speedster running around Central City. And Keystone City is actually Wally's city of protection in the comics. That scene with the Cisco hologram within the museum was hilarious. I was laughing pretty loud. It was extra funny seeing that HR made this like Cisco hologram give like compliments and nice remarks towards Harrison Wells, which we all know Cisco would not be doing. Now Caitlin's ongoing issue with her inner Killer Frost continued on in this episode as she approaches Julian Albert to help her get rid of her abilities. Unfortunately, he can't do that, but we did get a little look at her inner Killer Frost almost coming out again as her like little bracelets almost run out of charge. Now obviously we had Plunder as the villain in this episode, who Barry has a memory flash of as the criminal featured on that TV news report from the day in the future that he saw Iris murdered, which continues and sets other points in this episode to occur. It was very interesting to see Caitlin offer Julian a job at Star Labs, seeing that he is really struggling to move on with his current path after the events involving both Alchemy and Savitar. He's just really struggling, and she realizes that he needs something sort of new to focus on. I did really like that scene between Barry and HR Wells as Barry asks about whether the future is fixed or if it is possible to be changed, and if it's a variable thing, if you know what I mean. I must say, those flash tracking bullets that Plunder used were pretty damn cool, but you did see Barry wanting to let Plunder just go, Unfortunately, Wally stops him and thinks he is the hero of the day, even though Barry was just standing there because he was well, I'm just going to let this guy go. I'm not going to save him because of the future events that he's seen, and knowing that Plunder had been captured by him, and it's a event that he wants to stop to try and stop Iris from dying. Now surely I couldn't have been the only one that felt really bad for HR when no one showed up for that museum opening. I did think Cisco was a bit of a dick at that point, that's rubbing salt into the wound. But it was good to see Team Flash accept the idea of having Julian on the team. Not necessarily accept him at that point, but consider having him on the team. Now one of the biggest moments of the episode was definitely Barry revealing to Iris about the future that he went to, and that why she's not on that newspaper article anymore, why he's been having these nightmares, why he's not telling her what he's experiencing in these nightmares. Which obviously leads on to Barry and Iris revealing the news to Team Flash, with all of them then figuring out a plan to possibly prevent the death of Iris. Cisco's vibe with Barry Back to the Future was pretty damn cool, and also we got more of those headlines revealed, which included Music Meister, Joe West being honoured, Killer Frost, a guerrilla attack, and also Star Labs Museum closing, and you saw HR getting a bit annoyed by that. Now in that Back to the Future vibe, we also saw HR on the rooftop when Iris was killed. So he obviously wasn't there initially, so it will be interesting to see what changes to lead to that point. But we might not necessarily see that event happen again with HR and the rooftop, because if they change any more other things in the timeline, then HR's position might change, or he's in a bush, or Julian might be on the rooftop or something like that. And I think that's what might happen. Like, they will go back to this future point at certain times to see what has changed. And they will notice that HR might not be on that roof anymore and it might be someone else, or HR might be in a different position or something like that. But yeah, it's going to be something that plays out in the back half of this season. I do think we're going to see a lot of different things happening, if you know what I mean. Now, it was really, really smart that like Barry figured out, yo, I'll just let Wally capture Plunder because I'm the one that's meant to capture Plunder. So if Wally does, Plunder is still going to jail, but the timeline should sort of change because it wasn't me that captured him. So I thought that was pretty smart. The part in this episode that made me smile the most was when Cisco helped Star Labs Museum get off the ground, because as I said, he was acting like a bit of a dick before when no one came to the opening. So the fact that Cisco realized that, you know, HR was a bit down, felt a bit frustrated, was a bit sad by it all, and that he went and did this for HR, I thought was a nice moment. The Cisco and Hr Bromance is definitely coming along. Like, it took a while in season 2 for Harry and Cisco to, you know, bro up, but I definitely think this is the start of a bromance in the back half of this season with Cisco and HR. I did like that HR actually bought a turtle for Barry and Iris as their housewarming present. Obviously, we saw Wally get them a plant because that's like the traditional one, but apparently on Earth 19, you get reptiles as housewarming presents, so you learn something new every day, I guess. Next episode, we will obviously see Julian now officially on Team Flash, as at the end of this episode, they sort of accept him, bring him in, so Julian Albert will now be working with Team Flash. It will be interesting to see how involved he is early on, and whether he's more of a player down the road. Now, one thing that's big in this episode, and a lot of people might have missed, is actually the necklace that Caitlin is given by Julian and Cisco. If you notice, it's obviously a snowflake, but in the comics, in some iterations of Killer Frost's costume or outfit, she has that sort of like pendant there. So I don't know if that's going to actually lead on to her abilities, and it might be something that she uses. I'm not too sure, but yeah, keep your eyes out on that one. And the end credit scene for this episode was a big one. If you didn't know who that is that popped out, that's actually Gypsy, and she's a bounty hunter that is hunting, as you would have seen from that hologram that popped out, for H.R. Wells. So that's going to be next episode, and it's going to be interesting to see how she is stopped and any altercations that she does get into. If you did not know, Gypsy basically has the same abilities as Cisco. She's got vibe powers. But overall, I thought this was a really, really solid mid-season premiere. It wasn't the best episode of the season, but it definitely sets up the back half of this season really well, which is what a mid-season premiere should do. Last season, The Flash didn't have a very good mid-season premiere. If you remember, it was actually the episode with the turtle. And it really only set something up towards the end. It really wasn't a good episode in regards to setting up the rest of the back half of the season. But this episode did a really good job, and I'm really looking forward to what happens in the back half of this season. But thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy the video, it'd be very much appreciated. If you could leave a like on it, let me know in the comment section below what was your favorite part of this episode, and what future event do you think is going to change? Do you think Killer Frost will still come out and be a villain? I think she will. I don't think they're going to be able to stop that. Obviously, we know that Gorilla Attack is going to happen because episodes 13 and 14 of this season are Gorilla City episodes. And will Star Labs Museum actually close because Cisco sort of helped it out? I guess we'll have to wait and see. And if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.